Today's options for RPG Day 2021 probably seem like a peculiar set of choices for an event rooted in positivity and praise for the role-playing game hobby, with a selection starting with the loneliness of the wilderness and including such prompts as heavy and despair. Plus, what might be taken as a plea to please listen. It might seem like the darkest day yet. However, to take a journey through the wilderness of overused phrases for a moment, without a view of the darkness, how can we appreciate standing in the light? With this in mind, I have chosen the prompt heavy for today, as it is a word that comes up more often in complaint than in praise, even if it is not regarded as being especially troublesome on its own. And so, hopefully, we will have positivity sprung from negativity. As usual, if for some reason you'd prefer to read this than listen to it, you have that option at the Casting Shadows blog, found at castingshadowsblog.com.
Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
The typical defense of heavy games is rooted in their capacity to inform the group about details of outcomes which can inspire imagination and drive description. The offense typically relies on a pretty damning attack that the critics themselves are too old, too busy, too forgetful, or too intimidated to try these games. In a sense, it's kind of like the person complaining is saying, it's not you, it's me. If the games do not get played, and they do not get played because they are or are perceived to be too heavy, then from the perspective of the game, that is a fate worse than death. And when we consider the impact that word of mouth has in this hobby, this is especially true. Are these games then doomed? Are they on the way out, like the dinosaurs, to be replaced by leaner and lighter games? Looking around, I'm pleased to report that no, there's no sign that heavy games are going anywhere, and that heavy can and should remain purely a descriptive term, not be allowed to become a pejorative one. One thing that I have noted over the years is that people do not always recognize, at least at first, the best way to approach new problems. It often takes some trial and error to get it right. Some others are misled by ill-intentioned or well-meaning advice which doesn't suit them. And they once again can fail to recognize the need to experiment with the good parts of that advice, looking for possible solutions. There are those among us who not only prefer the approach taken by heavy systems, some find it uncomfortable or unsatisfying to play without their support. Learning to feel confident, interested, and satisfied with a lighter or full-on light system takes time. It takes adjustment of expectations, and it takes experience with interpreting what this new system delivers in order to understand what their role now is as a player of this light system. Conveniently, this is no different than what it takes for a player used to light games to get into heavier or even heavy ones. One key that I can provide is that in either direction, we have to take things in stages. We can't expect to pick up the game, read it once, and then play it and have that experience be perfect by whatever standard we assign perfection, our own or a perceived viewer or the designer or whoever. We can benefit from recognizing that our perspective and our expectations have been shaped by the games we have played before, and that background will be leading us astray in terms of the new game as often as it lends us a hand. We can benefit from recognizing that new things take time and reflection to learn. We can also benefit by remembering that learning to play an RPG pays off in fun and camaraderie, and the first time we ever learned one will typically be harder than subsequent attempts. We don't have to go from no knowledge and from a point of total separation from the hobby. We get to go from some knowledge to a different perspective within the hobby. Even if we only play the new game for a short while, that experience pays off repeatedly as we add more and more new games to our repertoire. Another key I can provide is that lifting heavy things over time changes our perspective on our own classification of what heavy actually is. We may even come to recognize that point of balance that will enable us to carry far heavier things than we thought, with far less effort. Best yet, the more we take on the effort to add more weight to what we carry, we not only enable ourselves to learn enjoyably in controlled stages, we also enable ourselves to expand our carrying capacity. If we get enough reps, we may even get an approving look from that secret RPG fan, Charles Atlas. If you'd like to take a look at the group that I like to play with online, going in a direction that to some of the members seemed heavy, or going in a direction that to some of the members seemed too light, 2 examples have been provided. You can find them in the show notes, or you can find them embedded in the written blog. These are 2 playlists. One is for Mithras, a D100 game in the RuneQuest lineage, and the other looks at Powered by the Apocalypse with a cyberpunk game called The Veil. Tomorrow, believe it or not, is Thursday, the 12th of August. It's the 12th day of RPG A Day, and we're closer to halfway through than we are to the beginning. As we continue to practice in reaching the end of the marathon, we get farther and farther along. Our prompts for tomorrow are think, TH for Thursday, consensus, deep, and triumph. What will we choose? Let's find out tomorrow. You have been listening to the Casting Shadows podcast, which is an extension of the Casting Shadows blog and Casting Shadows on YouTube. The blog can be found at castingshadowsblog.com, and on YouTube we're found under the name of Runeslinger. This month of August 2021 is the 8th anniversary of starting RPG A Day. RPG A Day is an exercise in positivity, talking about one idea about RPGs positively every day for each of the days of August. If you stumble across an RPG A Day post that you like, or if you've written one that you like, please share it. Hashtag it RPG A Day 2021. Follow the hashtag and read other people's comments on the same set of prompts. If you like what they're doing, let them know. If you really like what they're doing, share it. Keep in mind always that this is about talking positively about the hobby. We can talk trash anytime. Take care.